welcome to a fresh new episode of Science Monitor, our weekly update on all that is happening in the field of science and technology in and around the country. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. Let us take a look at the headlines first. Clean energy and climate change. President Obama's visit paves the way for new partnerships. The much-awaited Padma Awards declared, 10 awards including 1 Padma Vibhushan for science and engineering. Japanese scientists offer a new ray of hope to disaster management, a robust flood forecast model to help Indian river basins devised. IISc scientists identified 2 molecules with anti-TB properties. Could this be the new weapon to conquer the disease? And in science, you can use your everyday walking shoes, which when modified can generate energy. Today we will discuss in depth one of the most dreaded epidemics of the century, swine flu, its causes, symptoms and cure. And now news in detail. US President Barack Obama's visit to India was significant in more ways than one. It has thrown open exciting new vistas of collaboration to achieve common developmental goals, particularly in the areas of clean energy and climate change. Here is a look at what new Indo-US ventures we can expect in the coming times.
US President Barack Obama's India visit was a closely watched one in the political and diplomatic circles. India and the US have agreed to collaborate on a number of issues to achieve common developmental goals.
Economic pressure that's been brought
Modi and Obama's joint statement, Shared Effort, Progress for All, outlines several collaborative ventures in the area of science and technology.
Networks inside of countries that have strong central government.
A joint declaration of intent between USAID and the Ministry of Human Resource Development aims to provide technical support to the Indian Institutes of Technology, starting with IIT Gandhinagar, to strengthen research and entrepreneurship capabilities. America has also expressed intent towards supporting India's goal of expanding research, development and deployment of clean energy resources in order to reduce its carbon footprint. The support includes additional funding and investment for research in the areas of solar energy, building energy efficiency and biofuels, along with joint initiatives in the areas of renewable energy, space cooling, super efficient appliances and smart grids. Discussions also focused on the need to enhance bilateral cooperation on adaptation measures as well as joint research, development and technology innovation to mitigate the effects of climate change. Air quality cooperation has also been launched. The United States will implement EPA's Air Now international program and megacities partnership. This will help urban residents to reduce their exposure to harmful levels of air pollution. It will also enable urban policy planners to implement corrective strategies for improving ambient air quality in cities. The two countries have also agreed to work together on developing robust, higher-resolution climate models for the Indian subcontinent. Currently, researchers of India and US are together studying the Indian monsoon rainfall aboard the US research vessel JOIDIS Resolution in the Bay of Bengal. The visit also saw the conclusion of the first of the 2 project annexes between India's Department of Atomic Energy, Department of Science and Technology and the US Department of Energy, which will enable science cooperation in particle accelerator and high energy physics.
While the nation can look forward to renewed scientific vigor in the light of these scientific collaborations, there are 104 prominent personalities who have something to look forward to, as they will be conferred the Padma Awards. Out of the 104, there are 10 who are being awarded for their contribution in the field of science and engineering. Eager to know who these researchers are? Well, take a look at this report.
Instituted in 1954, the Padma Awards are among the highest civilian awards conferred by India. Given to individuals for their outstanding contributions in various disciplines, the declaration of Padma Awards forms one of the most awaited events of Republic Day. There are three categories of these awards: Padma Vibhushan, Padma Bhushan and Padma Shri. This year, 104 people have been selected by the President for the prestigious awards. 10 of these have been given to prominent personalities in the areas of science and engineering. Of the 9 Padma Vibhushan awards, one is being given for outstanding contribution in the area of science and engineering. Professor Mallur Ramaswamy Srinivasan, a distinguished Indian nuclear scientist and engineer, is the recipient this year. Professor Srinivasan has made outstanding contributions towards designing the Indian nuclear power program and the development of indigenous pressurized heavy water reactor. Padma Bhushan awardees in the science and engineering category include Dr. Vijay Bhatkar from Maharashtra, Dr. Kharak Singh Waldia from Karnataka, and Professor Manjul Bhargav, an NRI settled in the USA. Padma Shri awardees in the field of science and engineering include Shri S. Arunan, Shri Vasant Shastri, and Shri S.K. Shiv Kumar from Karnataka, Dr. N. Prabhakar from Delhi, and Dr. Prahlada from Maharashtra. Professor Jacques Blamont from France will also be conferred the Padma Shri under the foreigner category. The list of Padma Shri awardees also includes 17 experts from the field of medicine, that includes 3 NRIs. The awards will be conferred by the President at a ceremonial function at Rashtrapati Bhavan during the months of March and April.
Floods are a common phenomenon in the monsoon-fed countries of Asia and claim thousands of lives every year. While the 2013 floods of Uttarakhand unleashed a level of massive destruction never observed before, the 2014 floods of Kashmir saw India and Pakistan united by a common disaster. The devastation caused has given rise to calls for novel flood forecast models and cooperation between nations to share demographic and hydrological data that will help make these predictions. And that's exactly what a team of Japanese researchers are trying to accomplish through their new flood forecast model.
Japan is no stranger to natural disasters. From a massive tsunami in 2011 to floods caused by torrential rains in 2012, 13 and 14, the scale of devastation from each calamity was unprecedented. The importance of timely forecast of floods is not lost on anyone, especially the Japanese. So, in a major step towards effective disaster management, Japanese scientists have developed a sophisticated flood forecast model. The model will be used to lessen the effects of climate change in the flood-ravaged transboundary river basins of India, Pakistan and China. The forecast will be based on a hydrological model that uses rainfall and snowfall data and satellite data from the 3 countries located in the Indus and Mekong river basins to accurately predict when floods will occur. The flood forecast model has been developed under the Asian Water Cycle Initiative project, part of the Global Earth Observation System of Systems Consortium. The project includes 18 Asian countries and aims at improving water resource management through a better understanding of the water cycle. It also plans to tackle water-related disasters. The new model is expected to mitigate the disastrous effects of floods, especially in the Indus region where the snow and the glacial melt is critical in water resource management and flood control. The need for this model intensifies after the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change Assessment Report 5, which states that the frequency of heavy rainfall is rising even as light rain events are on the decline in South Asia. The assessment has direct implications for India, where the number of floods and droughts will now increase. Such extreme weather behavior needs a comprehensive warning system, and this advanced model will help in creating that.
Despite the availability of drugs and the DOTS program, tuberculosis remains a large healthcare burden in the country. With terrifying cases of multiple and extreme drug-resistant TB being reported worldwide, it is clear that we need new weapons to fight this ancient enemy. Reporters at the Indian Institute of Science have reported the identification of 2 new molecules with anti-TB properties, raising hopes that an effective cure for TB could be around the corner.
Tuberculosis is a big health burden, particularly in developing nations like India. But due to its limited market incentives, it has often failed to attract the attention of the global pharma industry. The emergence of highly drug-resistant strains of TB and increasing mortality rates are forcing developing nations to come up with new drugs to combat the disease. Under such circumstances, reprofiling or repurposing of existing drugs has emerged as a new technique. This technique is based on using existing drugs to treat currently untreatable diseases. Following this approach, researchers at the Department of Microbiology and Cell Biology at the Indian Institute of Science in Bengaluru have identified 2 small molecules that have anti-tuberculosis properties. The 2 molecules, imipramine and norclomipramine, were identified by a team led by Professor V. Nagaraja. These molecules can arrest the growth of the bacteria and hence the potential to be used as anti-TB drugs. The 2 small molecules work by inhibiting the function of topoisomerase 1 enzyme of the TB bacteria, which is essential for controlling the winding and unwinding of the bacterial DNA, thereby killing the bacteria. These molecules are currently being used as antidepressants. Researchers are now trying to make small, effective changes in these molecules to use them as anti-TB drugs. The molecules were first identified through virtual screening of many compound libraries, followed by laboratory studies to find their inhibiting properties. The identification of the 2 small molecules was part of the TB consortium project, More Medicine for TBs. The MM4TB is an international consortium that has been assembled by the EU to discover new treatment methods to combat the disease. The results of the study were recently published in the journal Antimicrobial Agents and Chemotherapy.
On to our next segment, Science You Can Use. So, what use is all this scientific knowledge if you cannot somehow use it in your daily life? Well, let me tell you something about this generation of wearables that produce energy from an unlikely yet always available source. That is, you. German researchers have built shoe-sized devices that harvest power from something that you do all the time, walking. The technology could be used to power wearable electronic sensors without the need for batteries. There are 2 separate devices. A shock harvester that generates power when the heel strikes the ground, and a swing harvester that produces power when the foot is swinging. They could also form the basis of a self-lacing shoe for the elderly. The energy they generate is still relatively small, in the 3 to 4 milliwatt range at their peak. If you think that is enough to charge your smartphone, sorry, that won't happen. But it is still enough to power small sensors and transmitters, opening up a range of new applications. These devices could one day be used to create wearables that never need to be plugged into a charger. Well, time to take a very short break here. We'll be right back. Keep watching Science Monitor. Plague, tuberculosis, AIDS, SARS, Ebola, avian and swine flu. For centuries, humans have been afflicted with these diseases that have originated in animals. Now, episodes of animal-borne diseases, scientifically referred to as zoonotic diseases or zoonoses, are increasing around the globe. The most recent in this long list is, of course, the upsurge of swine flu in certain parts of India. So what exactly is swine flu? How is it caused? And what are the symptoms? And also, what is the available cure for this dreaded infection? Well, let's explore all the answers to these questions in our next segment, In Focus.
Most of the diseases rampant among humans today trace their origin back to animals. Several human infections, including bird flu, mad cow disease, rabies, the plague and even Ebola, came from animals. But the one disease that's causing panic in India these days is swine flu. Also known as swine influenza, pig influenza, hog flu and pig flu. It is an infection caused by a special class of virus called swine influenza virus. Swine influenza virus or SIV is any strain of the influenza family of viruses that is endemic in pigs. Currently, the known SIV strains include influenza C viruses and the subtypes of influenza A viruses known as H1N1, H1N2, H2N1, H3N1, H3N2 and H2N3. Swine influenza was first proposed to be a disease related to human flu during the 1918 flu pandemic. At the time, pigs became ill at the same time as humans. Following this, swine flu outbreaks were reported in the US in 1976, then in 1998 and in 2007 in the Philippines. The most recent outbreak of swine flu was reported in 2009 when 14 people died of the disease in Northern Ireland. The infection was then confirmed to have been caused by H1N1 strain. A few months after the first swine flu cases were reported, rates of confirmed H1N1 related illnesses started increasing all over the world. It was then that the World Health Organization declared the infection as a global pandemic in 2010. According to experts, the virus was first transmitted to humans, mainly hog farmers and veterinarians, through pigs. The main swine flu symptoms develop about 1 to 3 days after a person is exposed to the virus and continue for about 7 days. The H1N1 virus infects the respiratory tract of human beings. The major symptoms are similar to those of influenza. These include fever, cough, sore throat, runny or stuffy nose, body aches, headache, chills and fatigue. people suffering from swine flu are more likely to suffer from diarrhea and vomiting than people suffering from the common flu. The disease is communicable and the infection spreads through contact of infected surface or the breathing of cough and sneeze droplets in the air. An infected person can be contagious for up to 10 days. Experts warn that young children, pregnant women and other adults are more likely to develop complications. In some cases, if left untreated, the infection can cause death due to respiratory failure, pneumonia, high fever or dehydration. Effective vaccines are now available against the H1N1 swine flu strain. The vaccine can be taken as a shot or as a nasal spray. Besides all the medications and vaccinations, experts say that following some simple rules of hygiene can go a long way in preventing the spread of the disease. These include washing of hands at regular intervals with soap and water and using alcohol-based hand sanitizers after contact with infected surfaces. Avoiding touching your eyes, nose or mouth. Covering your nose and mouth while sneezing. Taking proper precautions while dealing with sick people. Farmers, particularly the ones involved in cattle raising and pig farming, must follow strict hygiene measures while dealing with animals.
And what are the contributions of science to this week's history? Let's learn in our next segment, History of Science.
The man who discovered iodized salt, Jean-Baptiste, was born on 2nd February 1802. In 1821, Jean-Baptiste discovered that iodine-rich salts could be used to treat goiter. Hudson Maxim, the man who invented explosives that were used in the First World War, was born on 3rd February 1853. Initially, Hudson invented smokeless gunpowder, and then in 1901, he discovered a powerful explosive that was 50% more deadlier than dynamite. The first woman to receive a medical degree in the US, Elizabeth Blackwell, was born on 3rd February 1821. Blackwell is in fact the first woman to have a degree in medicine in the world. Being a woman, she was denied admission in many colleges at the time, but her determination helped her get a degree in medicine. American astronomer Clyde William Tombaugh, best known for discovering Pluto in 1930, was born on 4th February 1906. Making this discovery at the young age of 24, Tombaugh surprised all senior astronomers of the time. Apart from Pluto, he also discovered many asteroids and constellations. American physicist Robert Hofstadter was born on 5th February 1915. Hofstadter is credited with discovering the presence of neutron and proton inside the atomic nucleus. He was the joint winner of the 1961 Nobel Prize in Physics for his pioneering studies on nuclear structure.
Let us now have a look at some important science and technology activities happening in India and abroad in our next segment, Science Express.
National Council for Science and Technology Communication has declared its National Awards for Outstanding Efforts in the area of science popularization and communication for the year 2014. Award for Outstanding Efforts in Science and Technology Communication through print media, including books and magazines, innovative traditional methods, and electronic medium. The Atmospheric Imaging Assembly on NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory has captured its millionth image of the Sun. A mosaic of AIA's 100 millionth image, captured on January 19, was created from previous AIA images, each tile in the mosaic in 50 pixels across. The Solar Dynamics Observatory uses 4 telescopes working parallel to gather 8 images of the Sun. Every day, it provides 57,600 detailed images of the sun that show the dance of how solar material sways and sometimes erupts in the solar atmosphere, the corona. Tracing the origin and evolution of snakes, paleontologists have for the first time described the 4 oldest known snake fossils unearthed from Britain, Portugal and the United States. According to their research, the origin of snakes predates millions of years as to what we currently presume. Experts say that the 4 snakes lived during the age of dinosaurs, probably ate small minnows, insects and tadpoles, and may have had some form of reduced forelimbs and hind limbs. The National Botanical Research Institute in Lucknow recently organized a 2-day Rose and Gladiolus show. The show had a colorful display of varieties of gladiolus and rose-cut flowers. Visitors came in large numbers to have a glimpse. There were arrangements for the visitors to buy the cultivars and seek expert advice on growing these flowers.
Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. Do tell us how do you like our program. You can send your feedback and suggestions. Our email ID is news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar C24, Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. Well, we'll be back with fresh news stories on science and technology again next week. Till then, stay tuned to Rajya Sabha TV and think scientific.